My name is Nguyen. My time series visualization study is going to focus on the results of the American Time Use Survey and seeing whether or not inflation over the period from 2011 to 2022 has affected how Americans spend their time and money recreationally. Important to note for the study, the data was sourced from the American Time Use Survey, the Consumer Price Index, and the Current Employment Statistics Program. The American Time Use Survey provides a national estimate on how many hours an American, on average, spends on each activity. The Consumer Price Index tracks changes in price for goods and services and will provide a measure of inflation from 2011 to 2022. The Current Employment Statistics Program will provide context on how hourly wages have changed from 2011 to 2023. It's important to analyze the results of the Consumer Price Index and the Current Employment Statistics Program in order to recognize the effect that inflation may have had on shifting behavior of people since 2011. Looking at Figure 1, the average hourly earnings of private sector employees according to the Current Employment Statistics Survey, we can see in 2011 the value was at $23.03 and has since risen to $33.34 on average. You can also see that Tableau has found that there's a positive trend line for this relationship over time. Based on the equation provided by the linear trend line from Tableau, we can expect a 10% increase in wages in the next 5 years to $35.61. While increasing wages is a good thing, the question remains whether or not the rising wages can offset the rising costs of goods and services. We can also look at the average CPI value of 4 staple goods, in this case, coffee, milk, eggs, and ground beef. From 2021 to 2023, we can see that there's an increase for coffee of 46% value, a 28% increase in value for milk, a 90% increase in value for ground beef, and a 135% increase in the value of eggs. Based on the forecast as well, from Tableau using a linear forecast, we can see that the prices are only continue rising, especially in the case of eggs, for example, which is a very steep increase. Now, I would point out that the confidence I have in these forecasts is relatively low. The high variance makes this a little unpredictable, but it does at the least indicate an upward trend in the cost in the future. Now, with the acknowledgement of the rising costs of goods and services and the relatively low increasing wages for the next few years, where does this take us? Well, looking at the American Time Use Survey, we should look at 3 years in particular, 2011, 2018, and 2021. According to the results of the American Time Use Survey, activities that were set as recreational were split into 2 different categories. Recreational activities that might require payment to participate in, such as shopping, travel, and socializing events, or recreational activities that did not require payment, such as arts, reading, sports, computer use, relaxing and thinking, or games. This is reflected in Figure 4 as well, also showing the average amount of time that people spent on work from 2011 to 2021. 2020 is missing, unfortunately, due to complications for data gathering during COVID. This consideration is the same reason why for Figure 5 we want to look at 3 different years, 2011, 2021, and 2018, which is the onset of COVID and most likely the biggest effect on people's habits for the results of the American Time Use Survey. However, we can see from 2011 to 2018, there's already a shift towards recreational activities that don't require payment. And from 2018 to 2021, that shift only gets greater. You can also see in Figure 4 that the amount of time that people spent on working has not significantly changed in a way that the increase in hourly wages from 2011 to 2021 would affect or offset the rising costs in goods and commodities that we're seeing now and in the future. What we can conclude from the data is that the inflation in the prices of goods and services is set to steeply rise in the next 5 years, excluding extenuating circumstances, and is inconclusive if wages can keep up with the rising cost, as this data is locked behind a paywall in the Cost of Living Index by the Council for Community and Economic Research. However, this may be a subject for study later. While COVID may have influenced the results of the American Time Use Survey from 2018 to 2023, there was a clear negative trend in the time spent on recreational activities that involved monetary costs from 2011 to 2018 that shows strong evidence for correlation in rising inflation and how Americans have chosen to spend their recreation time on activities without monetary cost. All data was provided by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Thank you for your time. This is my presentation for assignment 9.1.